Today we're diving into the story of one of the most brutal, brilliant, and honestly contradictory figures in all of Iranian history, Agha Mohammad Khan. This is the man who literally clawed his way to power to found the Qajar dynasty, a dynasty that would rule for over 130 years. His life is just this incredible story of trauma, ambition, and a resolve that is, well, it's frankly terrifying.
So you really have to ask yourself, was he this brilliant unifier who managed to save a fractured Iran from completely falling apart? Or was he just a vicious tyrant driven by this deep, burning rage that started with a horrific childhood? The truth, as we're about to see, is a really, really unsettling mix of both.
You know, the craziest thing is that his entire story is built on this huge paradox. I mean, think about it. We're talking about a man who founded a royal dynasty, a line of succession, but who could never, ever have an heir of his own.
And this, right here, just nails that conflict perfectly. On one side, you have the man, castrated when he was just a little kid, physically frail, he had epilepsy, and he looked so young that people often thought he was a teenager. But then, you look at the other side, the monarch, the founder of a huge, long-lasting dynasty, a seriously formidable military conqueror, and an absolute ruler, with what you have to admit was a brilliant strategic mind. His whole life was basically a war between his physical body and his unstoppable ambition.
But to really get a grip on the conqueror he became, you have to look at the child. His relentless drive for power, it didn't just come out of nowhere. It was forged in this fire of trauma and humiliation that started when he was only 6 years old.
And if you look at it through like a modern lens, his entire life is a textbook case of overcompensation. That deep, deep feeling of inadequacy from what happened to him as a child fueled this bottomless need to prove he was superior in the only way he had left: power. He was going to make the entire world bend to his will because his own body had been so horribly violated.
I mean, his early years were just one humiliation after another. At 6, he's mutilated by a rival warlord. A decade later, his father's killed. And then he's taken captive. For almost 20 years, he lived as a political hostage in his enemy's court. Yeah, he was treated well, but he was still a prisoner, just watching, learning, and letting that rage simmer for years and years. So after nearly 2 decades, his captor, Karim Khan Zand, dies. Now for Agha Mohammad Khan, this isn't sad news, no way. This is the starting gun he's been waiting for his entire adult life. He was out of there immediately.
And his path to the throne was just ruthlessly efficient. First up, he secures his own tribe, getting rid of anyone in his way, and that includes his own brothers. Then, for 15 long, brutal years, he wages war to pull the fractured country back together. This all leads to him finally defeating his arch-rival, Loftali Khan Zand, and in 1796, he's crowned Shah of a unified, if completely terrified, Iran.
But this unification, wow, did it come at an appalling price. His campaigns weren't just battles, they were acts of pure terror, designed to absolutely crush any hint of resistance. And they left behind a legacy of absolute horror.
This number, 20,000, it's not just a statistic. It's basically a monument to his cruelty. 20,000 is the reported number of pairs of eyes he demanded from the men of the city of Kerman after he sacked it. And get this, some historians from the time even say the number was as high as 70,000.
His rage was just legendary. See, the people of Kerman had given shelter to his enemy, and according to the stories, they would stand on the city walls at night and shout insults at him. He made them pay for every single one. His revenge was methodical, and it was monstrous. After the city fell, he ordered every single man to be blinded. The eyeballs were apparently brought to him in baskets, and he had a pyramid of their skulls built as a warning.
And you see, this is the thing about his cruelty. It wasn't just cold strategy. Oh no, this was personal. This was pure revenge. He subjected Lotfali Khan Zand to unspeakable horrors before killing him. He had the bones of his old captor, Karim Khan, dug up and buried under his own throne. And to find hidden treasure, he tortured Nader Shah's blind grandson with molten lead. It's like every act was a violent way of exercising his own past humiliations.
But just when you think you've got him figured out, there's this other side to him. The same man who built pyramids of skulls also built and restored holy shrines. The tyrant was also a man of deep and, from all accounts, pretty sincere faith.
I mean, just look at this. The contradiction is just
It's right there. This was the same guy. He's the one who established Tehran as the capital we know today. He prayed daily, he fasted, and people said he would weep during his nightly prayers. He paid to have one of the holiest shrines in Shia Islam gilded. He had the epic of Persian kings read to him every single night. And amazingly, he showed tolerance to religious minorities, letting Christians and Jews build their own places of worship.
So after this whole life of surviving conspiracies and winning impossible battles, you'd think his end would be, grand or epic. But it wasn't. It was sudden, it was bizarre, and it was almost mundane. And it came from the very people who served him.
The story of how he died is it's absurd. He got furious with 3 of his servants over something small and sentenced them all to be executed. But because it was the night before a holy day, he delayed the execution and, incredibly, told them to go back to their duties for the day. Obviously fearing for their lives, the 3 of them snuck into his tent that night and stabbed the conqueror of Iran to death.
And that's why, even now, his legacy is a total battlefield. Some people see him as the great unifier, the only person who could have stitched the country back together. Even Napoleon Bonaparte was supposedly an admirer of his strategic genius. But for so many others, his name just means barbarity, a stain on history whose crimes, as one person put it, cannot be washed away by praying.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's not just the story of some brutal king from a long time ago. It's a much bigger, more profound question, isn't it? The story of Agha Mohammad Khan is this chilling case study of how the deepest, most personal wounds of a single person, a trauma inflicted on a 6-year-old boy, can erupt decades later to redraw the map of a nation and define its entire history in blood and gold.